In an era when everyone else was choosing to awaken, I went against the crowd and chose cultivation instead. Seeing this, my classmates all mocked me, saying I was an idiot. That was because the cultivation inheritance had been lost during the Great War 100 years ago. Since then, cultivation had been reduced to nothing more than a form of health preservation, while awakening was considered the only path to a bright future. However, I wasn't bothered by their ridicule at all. That was because, before long, the moon would crack open and countless powerful demons would crawl out from within it. In the blink of an eye, countless awakened people would be killed, and cultivators would be the only hope. At this moment, I was staring blankly at the form in my hands. In my previous life, my entire family had died in that disaster, but by some miracle, I had traveled to the cultivation world, where I spent 1,000 years cultivating, becoming undefeated in countless battles, and eventually becoming a legendary figure of my era. However, all that desperate cultivation was only for one purpose: to ascend to immortality, break free from the constraints of space and time, and return to the day before the demons descended so I could save my parents. Unexpectedly, while facing another immortal tribulation, I was ambushed by several enemies who had been plotting against me for a long time, putting me in a situation from which there was no escape. I never expected that when I opened my eyes again, I would have returned to the moment when I was filling out my choices. Zhang Shuya walked over with a disappointed shake of her head. 2 boys and 2 girls were following behind her. A month ago, the 6 of us had agreed to team up for this examination, but last week, after these 5 people saw that I had failed to awaken, they wanted to leave the group. After all, in their eyes, someone who hadn't awakened was nothing more than dead weight. Okay, I said calmly. Hearing such a simple answer, all 5 of them looked surprised. They had originally thought I would beg them not to abandon me. After all, it was very difficult for someone who hadn't awakened to find awakened people willing to team up with them. Looks like Qin Chuan has completely given up after failing to awaken. Seeing this, there was a hint of pity in Zhang Shuya's eyes. Take care of yourself. A thin boy sneered as he glanced at me. Looks like we're about to witness history. You'd need 10 years of brain damage to come up with choosing cultivation. Seeing me being abandoned by my teammates, the surrounding students burst into another round of laughter. But I didn't care at all. When I returned home, my parents had already prepared a sumptuous dinner and were waiting for me to come back. Knowing that their son had failed to awaken, both of them deliberately avoided bringing up the subject during dinner. Only after we finished eating did my father call me back and hand me a black card. Dad, what's this? My father took a deep breath and smiled. This card contains all the money your mother and I have saved over the past 20-something years. Take it. Your mother and I never awakened either, but haven't we still lived a decent life? You're an adult now. It's time for you to make your own decisions. This is all we can do to help you. After saying that, he stuffed the card into my hand before going into the kitchen to help Mom wash the dishes. I stood there stunned. The bond between us that had lasted for 1,000 years, along with those memories from my previous life, once again surfaced in my mind. The memories and reality began to overlap. At that moment, the card in my hand seemed to weigh 1,000 pounds. This time, I absolutely would not let history repeat itself. Because the spiritual energy in this world was extremely thin, cultivation could only be done by absorbing the spiritual energy contained in treasures, and buying treasures required money. So I didn't refuse my father's kindness. I immediately took the money and went to the largest pharmacy nearby. At this moment, Ruakang Pharmacy was packed with people and extremely lively. Most of them were awakened people coming to buy potions. How can I help you? At that moment, a beautiful female employee wearing a pharmacy uniform came over and asked, "Do you have medicinal herbs like ginseng and snow lotus here?" When the female employee heard that I wanted to buy medicinal herbs, she immediately looked surprised. After all, nowadays, almost everyone bought finished potions. Who would still buy medicinal herbs? Yes, our pharmacy also has a branch that specializes in selling medicinal herbs. They might have what you're looking for. After saying that, she led me into a pharmacy filled with medicinal boxes. Unlike the previous store, there were hardly any customers here. An old man wearing reading glasses was quietly sitting in front of a computer, reading a book. "Mr. Chi, this customer needs to purchase some medicinal herbs," the female employee said respectfully. "Got it. You can go," Mr. Chi nodded. Then he put down his book and looked up at me. "Young man, what kind of medicinal herbs do you want?" "The older the better," I answered directly. "Not many people buy medicinal herbs these days." Mr. Chi operated the computer for a while. "Take a look. Wait, I need to see the actual products." I selected a ginseng, a snow lotus, and a 1,000-year-old lingzhi. Mr. Chi looked somewhat surprised. There aren't many young people nowadays who can recognize these expensive medicinal herbs. He then stood up and took 3 exquisitely packaged boxes from the wooden cabinet behind him. "You can look at them, but don't touch them." I could sense the faint spiritual energy radiating from the 3 medicinal herbs. I asked, "How much is each one?" 350,000 each. 1,050,000 for all 3. I frowned slightly. Too expensive. I only had a little over 500,000 right now, so I could only afford one. After thinking for a moment, I asked Mr. Chi to bring out a few other medicinal herbs that were relatively cheaper. After carefully examining them and comparing their effects with their prices, I slowly said, 350,000 is too expensive. This loa fruit only costs 10,000, while one ginseng has an effect equivalent to 20 loa fruits. Considering the age and rarity of the ginseng, at most it's worth 250,000. Mr. Chi's eyes lit up when he heard this. You're quite perceptive for someone so young, but this is a wild ginseng from the wilderness area. Taking it regularly before the age of 18 can increase the chances of awakening. Just based on that alone, it should be at least 100,000 more. Mr. Chi pointed toward the cultivated ginseng beside him. If you're willing to accept cultivated ginseng, then I can sell it to you for 100,000. I glanced at it and immediately shook my head. It has almost no spiritual energy. It's useless to me. Just then, a middle-aged man with a scar on his face and a fierce expression walked into the pharmacy. Old Qi settled the bill. As soon as he entered, he threw his backpack onto the counter. Some blood seeped out from inside the backpack. Mr. Chi opened the bag and poured out its contents. It was a pile of bloody beast materials. Not a bad harvest, Mr. Chi praised. Not bad. I ran into 2 Earth-level beasts, and they crippled several of my brothers. The middle-aged man grinned, revealing a row of yellow teeth. 2 million. I'll transfer it to you. Fine. Remember to prepare some medicine for me. I'll come back tomorrow to pick it up. After saying that, he left without even looking back. Your pharmacy also buys beast materials? I asked in surprise. Mr. Chi nodded while organizing the materials. Some potions require beast materials as supplementary items. That guy is an awakened person who specializes in this line of work. Then, Mr. Chi smiled and looked at me. Young man, how about we make a deal? I was immediately confused. What deal? I can tell that you don't have much money, Mr. Chi spoke bluntly. I can also see that you know quite a lot about these medicinal herbs. Come work at my shop. These 3 medicinal herbs will be your payment. I thought for a moment before slowly shaking my head. I don't have time.